Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. This is Misha Houston. Welcome to my channel. And we are here for our weekly live stream. Tonight we are covering Catelyn III, A Game of Thrones. A very interesting chapter for Catelyn. Will you two like to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
I'm Jen. Hey, good to be back with y'all. Misha, thanks for having me.
That's no problem. Always a pleasure. What about you, Tony?
It's Tony. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me again on another week. Get to talk about one of my favorite people, Catelyn.
This is Catelyn III, a Game of Thrones, another very interesting chapter, and this is our weekly live stream. I wasn't feeling well yesterday, but I'm here now, and we are live, and we are going to carry on with our discussion, and hopefully I can get back on track for Thursday. Jennifer, this is your night, so please get at them.
All right. I just want to start by saying, everybody, this is the chapter which I feel like they did a pretty good job on in the television series, which is when Bran is attacked by the cat's paw in in his sick room, and Summer saves him. Well, saves Catelyn basically, which in turn saves Bran. Okay, Ned and the girls had basically been gone 8 days when Maester Lewin comes in one night in Bran's sick room and carrying the account books and is just talking to Catelyn. Like, look, I need you to look at the stuff from the visit. They ate a lot, basically. A lot of stuff is gone. We need to replenish. We don't have a steward because the steward was, I don't remember his first name, but it's Jane Poole's dad.
Vayon Poole.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Misha. And then he goes on to say, look, and there's a lot of appointments we need. The head of the guard, which was Jory, the master of horse. And Catelyn basically has a bit of a nervous breakdown and is like, do you think I really care about any of this stuff right now? No, I don't. I would kill every horse in Winterfell right now with my own hands if it would bring Bran back. And Robb appears and is like, look, I'll get it. And then, she thinks, okay, well, and then she remembers just how, and then she tells Maester Lewin, look, he takes the list of names. Maester Lewin has a list of candidates already. He looks at it and he says, look, we'll talk tomorrow. I got this. And he walks out, and then Robb pleads with her. He's like, look, I need your help. And then she kind of remembers to herself, he's only 14. And then he's like, look, and Rickon is following me around all day. He's only 3. I don't really know what to do. We need you. We need your help. And she's like, well, I can't leave because her argument is that she wants to be near Bran, every second in case that's his last or in case he comes to, either or. And about that time, Robb opens the window and you can hear the dire wolves. And he makes the comment that if you listen close, you can tell the differences. You can tell which one is Summer, which one is Grey Wind, which one is Shaggy Dog. And about that time, I believe they smell smoke. And then I think they can see the library from that window, and the library is on fire. Oh, but before that, she kind of has like a little meltdown about the noise of the wolves. And she's like, close the window. Bran needs to keep cool. And yeah, and they see the fire, and Robb runs out, but Catelyn stays. And about that time, we get this assassin who enters. And he's all like in his, terrible English that, bespeaks of his social status. You're not supposed to be here. You aren't supposed to be here. Anyway, So, and then he's like, it's a mercy. He's dead already. And Catelyn's like, no, no. And she basically uh, grabs hold of the knife. It cuts her very badly, almost to the bone, not quite. And about that time, Summer comes in. Don't know how Summer got in. Summer got in and basically takes his throat out. And then comes over to Catelyn and licks the blood off her fingers. I want to say this. Till that time, I think the wolves were, just something that she dealt with, but possibly didn't really have much love for. After this, Catelyn's mind has changed about those wolves.
Oh yeah, the wolves are very much entwined with our characters. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
In name and in person.
You made a
Yep.
good point about how the guy, how he spoke. That kind of like tells how what the person's like status is and society, because it's the same thing with like my lord and my lady. Like you'll see the more lordly, like upper class ones will put like my lord, and then the like lower class people will have the M apostrophe lord, like my lord. Just like you said, you're supposed to be here.
Yeah, it's fun. I like doing the voices. Okay, yeah, and we also see that in when Arya is trying to pass herself off as a servant girl, and Tywin says to her, for somebody trying to pass herself off as a servant, you just don't.
Yes, you're too proper.
Yeah, he lets her know real quick. He has already peeped her out, that she is not who she says she is because of her speech.
And how
Well,
she could read.
Exactly. So same situation going on here. I think we get clues with the way person talks and, at least to their class and social status, because unless you're consciously trying to talk worse than what you know how to do.
The medical.
Okay, then.
Oh, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the medical
No, go ahead.
term for that is called malapropism, where you mispronounce your words. And it is a sign of low education or no education. And it was very prevalent here in this chapter. You can really tell how rowdy and lowborn he was just by the look of him, by the way he speaks. And the medical term is called malapropism, and it just comes from having no education.
I never knew that.
And it's a lot of people that have that in the book and in our lives,
Okay, so
go ahead.
Rob and Maester Lewin and Sir Roderick bust in afterwards, and they found Catelyn looking stunned, sitting there, her wounds, Summer, Bran, and she says they came to kill him. They came to kill him. Well, finally, Rob kind of takes charge, and it's like, okay, he puts guards on the door down at the stairwell. And they finally get her away, but then when he says, okay, and leave Summer, and she's like, yes, before we see just, not 30 minutes beforehand, she's just like, oh, I can't stand those wolves. I can't stand listening to those wolves. Now her attitude has changed completely. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yes, leave the wolf, definitely. And then we see her really from here on out, even consciously telling her children, don't, always have your wolf, always have your wolf. We see her say it to Rob.
See, that's funny.
And we do see
when they're in the Riverlands and they're at Rob's at war, and they find out that what they think is the death of Bran and Rickon. Her and Rob end up making the reverse statement where were their wolves? Their wolves should have protected them. How good were they now? And Bob, like, basically blaming it on the wolves that they were killed.
Which is wrong. But I think, the whole time when I was reading and watching the show, like, I knew stuff it always made me nervous if somebody didn't have one of the Starks didn't have their wolf right on top of them. You know what I mean? Like, when they didn't bring Grey Wind up in the Frey dinner or whatever, that made me nervous, and rightly so, we later find out. So they all look at the man's dress, look at everything about him, notice that they don't know him. You know, they've never seen him around Winterstown. He wasn't a servant of theirs, etc. And, you know, they're like, well, so many people have been in and out of here, you know, the last week. We'll never be able to place where he is. And then I believe it's Sir Roderick, is it, that points out, you know, did you get a look at that dagger, though? Because that was like a super, super nice weapon, being that it was Valyrian steel, dragon bone. Then they go seek out. It says specifically that he smelled of horses and that he was dirty, dusty. And they find where he had been sleeping in the stable and find a bunch of silver, I believe, hidden under the straw.
Yeah, 90 stacks.
Which is a lot. And Catelyn even makes the comment, you know, at least his life didn't go cheap, you know. And finally, though, she'll leave Bran. She leaves Bran. She asks, you know, for some bread and honey to be brought to her when she wakes up. And they bring her more food than that. She finally gets a good sleep and she eats. I think they said she slept for like, did they say how long she slept? Was it like 4 days, or am I getting that from
she slept for 4 days.
Yeah, she slept a long time. When she woke up, she ate. And I know this for myself. Sleep deprivation will make you crazy. Really crazy.
Yeah,
so
she was going crazy in this episode right now. I mean, it's a lot of characters that are going crazy right now.
Definitely.
They use that as torture in a lot of countries where it's like a totalitarian like government and dictatorships where they literally will let them fall asleep, and the second they fall asleep, blast the most annoying noise and music till they get them sleep deprived, and it just makes them go nuts to where they'll tell everything after that.
I know I'm a super bitch when you wake me up before I've had enough sleep. I can definitely attest to that.
And as I recall, in the Feast for Crows, Cersei was deprived sleep as well when she was taken, captive by the sparrows.
Yeah, they kept waking her up.
Kept waking her up. She could not sleep until she just finally decided to work her way out of the situation.
Confess.
Yeah, confess. When they have decent food, oh yeah, sleep will do it for me.
Well, they could get me too. I would damn near confess to anything if you just leave me the hell alone.
I always tell everybody I am not.
I stay with people like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna wake you up.
You want to go ahead?
All right. So they didn't know who the guy was or anything, but they noticed, of course, his weapon. Of course, they found his hideout. And like they said, being that most of the horses were gone, I guess the stables were, a lot less crowded than they had previously been before. And definitely after he left, after having his horses around and in there as well. So he was able to hide out undetected. As she wakes up and she eats.
Excuse me, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but we have a comment from Scepter Shayna Sapphire.
Okay.
Another reader say that one of the jobs that went unfilled by Kat's lack of care was the horse master, who would have spotted the assassin.
That's true.
So, that is a good point. Absolutely.
Everything just kind of fell together there, short on staff. I'm sure not only the master of horse, but they would have taken the horses as well. And so it's just, a perfect storm, as they say, of lack of staff, personal tragedy, and being overworked till they left too. So yeah, just a perfect storm. Okay, so then she goes on, she pulls everybody in a little huddle. I believe the people in this huddle is Sir Roderick, Theon Greyjoy, Robb, and Maester Luwin. And she confides in them. And then they also took note that Jaime Lannister did not join the hunt the day that Bran fell from the window. And that is noted. It's right here. It comes to me that Jaime Lannister did not join the hunt the day Bran fell. He remained here in the castle. And then Catelyn says, I do not think he fell. I think he was thrown. So almost immediately after this incident, they suspect that it was no fall and that it was more than likely Jaime Lannister or something to do with the Lannisters. And it brings to my attention that, honestly, if they wouldn't have sent that assassin, they might have gone, so many things wouldn't have happened. She probably wouldn't have left. She probably, they would not have just zeroed in on Jaime Lannister like they did after that moment. Till then, we're all just thinking this is a terrible accident that he fell. But after that happened, they knew, this is no accident.
Mm-hmm.
So
they all know. I mean, they made a point of saying that Bran was sure-footed and sure-handed.
Exactly. So when they really start putting two and two together, but I just, whoever sent the assassin, they really, made it into, not saying it wasn't big already, but if you think about it, if that person had never come to attack Bran, she might have never left Winterfell. Okay? So that's a big thing. That kind of set the ball and rolling for everything. For Theon to leave, for Robb to go to war, for her to go to King's Landing, and then the Vale, and all of those things. And yeah, it's just something to think about. Okay, so finally she's back in her right senses. She's had a meal. She confides in them. They start discussing it. She decides she will go investigate it. I think her exact words are, we will go and see. We shall see what we shall see, basically. And she doesn't take the King's Road all the way. She's going to beat them there. She's going to go down and get a boat from White Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
So not only will it'll take her less time, she should be there before them. And then she won't have to take that many people. They can move faster. And she leaves Robb in charge, and her and Sir Roderick go. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for the chapter overview. There were some things that stood out to me, and I think there are some things that may have stood out for the two of you as well. One of the things that stood out to me was Robb. Now, Robb, is a young man of 14, the same age as is Jon. And the thing that stood out to me was him talking about Rickon and also about him biting his lip. Now, as far as Rickon goes, Rickon, is only 3 years old. He doesn't understand what's going on. He feels abandoned. He's clinging. He's a little boy, and he's clinging, and he doesn't understand. And what really angers me with Catelyn is that she doesn't really talk to Rickon about this. Of course he's 3 years old, but he needs an explanation. He's a little boy, and he doesn't understand. And he's becoming clingy and he's becoming the Rickon that we're going to see later on in the story, a wild child. And he needs his mother. And I really, am disappointed in Catelyn for having left. I understand why she did it. I mean, I totally understand it. But she did have other children who needed her. And her leaving, when so many others have left, was really irresponsible of her. I just,
I agree.
That's just my opinion. I mean,
I think she ought not to have gone anywhere at all, truthfully. There was nothing really she could do, in my opinion.
Yeah. They say my audio is a little bit low, so I'm going to turn it up.
All right.
Okay. I'm turning everyone's up so we all can hear it better. Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about was Robb biting his lip. Now, as I said in the Arya chapter, it is a sign of neurosis. It's a sign of needing attention and love. And Catelyn notices him biting on his lip as he's done as a child. And apparently she knows that he's been biting on his lip. and he's still doing it at 14. She makes a note of that. So he is also another child that is in need of love and in need of attention, which it kind of explains a lot why he wouldn't let go of what was the woman's name that he married?
Who? Rob?
Yeah, Rob.
Jane.
Jane Spicer or something.
No. Jane Westerling.
Westerling, yeah. That's probably, one of the reasons why he wouldn't let her go, because he needed the love. So, and he needed the attention, and I'm sure marrying her would gain him all the attention and all the love that he requires. So I think that's part of the reason why he was so stuck on the Westerling girl. He also needs love and attention, as does Rickon. And these kids are starting to get sick. Outside of Bran falling, he also needs love. Rickon needs love, and she's
You're right. Their mental needs are not being met.
Yeah, their needs aren't being met. So I mean, it's just a little plot point.
I mean, when I think of a 3-year-old running around without seeing its mom all day, that's traumatic.
Yeah.
Going from a full family of sisters, and if you're the baby, everybody watches you. Then going to a half-empty house and really not knowing where to turn.
Yeah, he's so confused, and your heart goes out to Rickon, and I would love to see him in the Winds of Winter. I want to know what happened to Rickon.
I do as
they
well.
go to the island, or did they go somewhere else? I mean, what's happened to Rickon? I also had a point about the attack itself. It was just so reminded me of the Red Wedding. This lunatic behind her with a knife to her throat. She commented on how sharp the blade was on her neck.
Good catch.
How the smell overwhelmed her. And, that horrible, hideous scene. And it just so reminded me of the Red Wedding. It's such a great foreshadowing of what's to come for
Yes,
Cat.
it is.
Let me see. I don't think there was pretty much anything else. I mean, I really, and also the fact that after the attack, she was laughing. She was hysterical. She was also hysterical at the Red Wedding, gouging her eyes out and scratching at her face. And after this attack on Bran, she's laughing hysterically at the wolf, biting out the assassin's throat and sitting there next to Bran, watching him and guarding him. And she was hysterical. She was laughing, and that's how they found her. And apparently she lost her wits then, and she's gonna lose her wits, at the Red Wedding as well.
And we know Lysa has kind of already gone that way. And I tell you, I believe Catelyn's maternal side, she's related to the Wentz of Harrenhal.
Yeah.
And they are said to be a little bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're now lost and is
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
No, that's her. That's her. They talk about her being crazy as a bat.
Mm-hmm.
Bathing in women's young women or virgin's blood to keep her young.
Yeah. So she may have, witch's blood in her as well. So that's very interesting. And so may Sansa as well. Sansa carries so much of the Tully in her, so she may have, the witch's blood in her as well. I mean, she certainly can be seen as the enchantress, the good witch, the enchantress, the mesmerizing beauty, that a witch would have, like Melisandre.
The red hair.
Yeah.
They call her the Red Woman. Yeah. Sansa is described as having, extremely red hair.
Mm-hmm.
We could draw some parallel to that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much all that stood out for me in the chapter. And I'm just proud that she's, after she got that rest, she seemed to have gotten her wits back.
Yeah, she seemed to snap back in there.
Yeah, she was really tearing herself apart, blaming herself throughout this whole thing, And
but she also does mention, I think she had a super, I hate to say this, I hate to always point this out about anyone, but I would almost say that, a lot of people say, especially when you like, okay, Rob was the heir, and then there was, you know, Sansa. She knew she would probably go off and marry. Arya, I know she loved all her children, but Arya kind of got on her nerves because she wasn't, you know, like a mini Sansa or a mini Catelyn. But then Bran, I mean, and it even says so. She found Bran to be the sweetest of her children, you know, the easiest to laugh, the easiest. It says it somewhere in this chapter. And I'm almost wanting to say maybe Bran was her favorite because she knew she'd be able to keep him close. You know, like he'd have a hold fast, but it would probably be within riding distance, or at least a day or two, you know. And I think she had a special place for Bran because he was the first of her children, not only that she identified with and really liked, but also that she knew she'd kind of be able to keep closer than the heir or her oldest daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Was there any other points that stood out in the chapter from either one of you?
I think it shows the contrast between the North and like, even though Riverrun isn't really that far south, but like if you look how the difference between Ned and Catelyn, how they handle the whole brand thing, like she wanted Ned to stay, you know, how tells him like how could he leave after what's happened and all this, and he's just like, look, I got no choice. Like the king telling him, I gotta go. Where in like the North, it's like, you know, it's about duty. You know, they're used to these living hard and hard life to where the next day isn't guaranteed. So like death to them, even out of their own family members, you know, they don't isn't like so dwelled on. And like even though they don't know if Bran will ever wake up, but Ned still does not let that, you know, sway his duty. And with Ned, it's kind of sad because of his duty and honor led him to the grave. But if you just look at it as the whole like northern way of life, like it's about getting the job done. There's no, you know, pleasantries in it. You know, your kids are your kids. There ain't no hugging and kissing. You know, and her not wanting to leave its bedside. And like even Rob points out how she says, "I'm taking care of your brother." Is that what you call it? Like he's in a coma. There's nothing you can do. You're sitting here and you're letting everything that goes with having, you know, a castle and a keep and all that, and being, you know, the Lord Paramount's wife, and Lord Paramount ain't even there. So you need to really step up. You're letting all this shit just go to the side. And no matter how she feels about Brandis, her son being whatever sick, you know, whatever's going on with him, there are still other kids. You know what I mean? Like, and that's in real life. Like, it's like I always revert back to like drug addiction because that's what I do for a job, and it's like sometimes you get people that like they'll put so much like care and love into one of your kids, but you got 3 other kids, and the other kids start to feel neglected, you know, because they're putting all their time into the one kid with the problem. But even though they have a problem, like you can't let your other kids go by the wayside. You know, you gotta. It's hard, I guess. I only have 1 kid, so I can't even tell you. I can't even imagine how it is to have multiple kids. But I guess that would kind of be hard sometimes when you got one of your kids going through something that's like real turmoil, and you know, to be able to like spread that love equally, even though you know this one needs more than the others. You know, you don't want to, you know, feel that way. So I don't get me wrong, it had to be hard, but it's just it just shows like the difference in like her being a Tully from Riverrun from like the Starks in the North. Like Ned takes it as, you know, he gotta do what he gotta do no matter how bad Bran is. And the thing I can't stand like about Catelyn is like that is I let that pass. Like that's motherly thing, you know, and I don't know nothing about being a mom. But like she's so I guess she lets her emotions drive her. And you know, like I understand with the son, like that. Like I said, I put that doesn't count. But like a lot of her decisions are just like passion, emotion driven. Like
right, emotional decisions.
yeah, it's like no sitting there trying to break it down. Like even when they talk about Jamie, then the chapter not going hunting with them, and that Bran's so sure-footed, she don't think he fell. And even Maester Lewin being, the maester-minded person, he's like, it's all conjecture right now. And then until you got proof, you need to be silent about it. But here she is getting everybody riled up. She's telling Rob, Theon, like, what, and then about Liza and all. Like, I know she's your sister, but she has been batshit crazy since a kid. So it's like, I understand you want to believe in your sister and all that, but I just hate how Catelyn is just so ready to run with it. Like, and that was the one thing I really like irked me about Catelyn. Like, a lot of decisions that brought down the Starks here by the halfway point of these books in the show, was a lot of it was her bad decisions. Like, she should have never taken Tyrion hostage.
Absolutely. I would even go so bold as to call her just a little bit bipolar.
Yeah, like, she's all over the place.
Her and Liza.
Her emotions run her life. Like, she gets something going in her head and she rolls with it. Like, every little thing was the truth on that. It was not, okay, let's take some time to break this down. See what the pros and cons are. Let's see what the proof we have. No, my sister David did good that day. He's a Lannister, so he had to push him. Like, it's not. And then you had to have somebody like Maester Lewin be like, look, you need to chill. You don't. It's all conjecture. I mean, you gotta stay silent. You can't be throwing shit like that around regular people. You don't know who's gonna take that to the prostitute at the brothel. Like, man, you don't know what Catelyn told me the other night. And then she goes, whoever Master Whisperer she's working for. So, like, it's just very. I think it just really does. Like, she's not. I don't think she was good to be left. Like,
Catelyn's messy. That's what you try to say, Tony. Catelyn's messy.
I think it'll work, but yeah. But yeah, that really just stood out for me. It was just like how the way she deals with every problem. And like I said, I'll let the one go with your kids, because when your kids are hurt and anything to do with your kids, of course your emotions are going to drive you, because that's your kids, it's your heart. But when it came to all the other stuff, it wasn't no different to me. Like, you did the same thing she would have did as how you would have dealt with a kid being hurt, with every single decision she made.
Yes, I mean, she prides herself on being from the South and, those Southern ambitions. But the truth is, I mean, she's just not a good player.
Not at all.
Such deep, long-lasting decisions without thinking things out. She has brought hell upon the Riverlands just by capturing Tyrion Lannister.
She did.
That's a good point.
Yeah, she did.
Big her decisions, the outcomes from those decisions. I didn't even think of that. That's a good point.
Oh yeah, I just her capturing Jaime Lannister and Tyrion Lannister. So many people died. I mean, go through those Riverland chapters. Jaime.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Chapters. The Riverlands is a pit. It is a hellhole, and that is all because of her. All because of her.
It's bad enough whenever they had these wars. The Riverlands are the ones that take the brunt of it, because it's that halfway point.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they were the first place attacked.
And,
they just became a pit, a cesspool, and they haven't gotten any better. They haven't gotten any better in 5 books.
They had the Mountain and his dog running around, raping and pillaging and setting on fire.
Absolutely. I mean, just off those few decisions that she made.
Yeah, she really started a bunch of crap. And I want to say this about the whole situation. It's kind of like, I understand why they said that about Jaime Lannister and everything, but that's kind of like if you have a party at your house, something comes up missing, okay? And you maybe have some people you lean towards as the culprits more than others, but you can never say anything unless you are willing to just, like, you can't ever accuse somebody of stealing unless you're absolutely sure. That is not something you can come back from. And I would imagine the same thing would happen if you accuse somebody of murder.
See, whenever I used to have, like, when I was younger and have, like, parties, so somebody needed to use, like, the bathroom in the room, I'd always tell them, keep your hands clapping the whole time. That way I know you ain't picking nothing up.
I hear ya. I hear you. Good thing y'all didn't have a clapper in the bedroom.
I want to give a shout out to Ion Trone, Shayna Septa Shayna Sapphires, Cammy, who had to leave. Sorry, Cammy. I wish you could have stayed longer. I also want to give a shout out to the Red Witch and AU Pack Mule. Thank
Ooh,
you.
hey, everybody.
Yeah, hey everybody, and welcome back to our chat. We're discussing Catelyn and her many, many faults.
One thing I really had a problem with one of her decisions was with Jamie and how she just, for one, they didn't know where Arya was. Nobody had even seen Arya since before Ned's execution. Sansa, all the things that they would say and know about how the Lannisters do things. What made her? I understand. Part of me, it pulls me both ways. Part of me, I understand your kids. You want to hold out any hope that you can get them back. But what made you think just because you sent Brienne Tarth with them that they're gonna be like, okay, we got Jamie back, so we'll agree to give him back the kids, even if Tyrion said that's what he's gonna do. Like, all right, Tyrion could be acting hand of the king, but anybody even outside of Lannister would know that. Tywin put him there for a reason because he couldn't be there. And do you really think if Tyrion's making decisions that if it didn't play to what Tywin wanted, even though Tywin was in King's Landing, he wouldn't have, rebutted on whatever or went back on anything he decided to do. So it's like, what would make you think that just because you give them back Jamie, they're going to give you Sansa and Arya? And especially with Arya, nobody even knew where she was.
I mean, she's desperate.
Yeah, that's what pulls me back the other way. It's like I understand that desperation, and then the thing that really bothered me most is like, all right, I understand, but your son now Ned's dead, so your son is the acting Lord Paramount. Now they calling him king, and for you to not even come to him about it. Yeah. You just do this backdoor thing, and don't tell nobody. And then that right there led to a whole lot of stuff because it was bad enough that, Rickard Karstark couldn't get his vengeance on his sons being killed. And then, he goes off, kills the Kevin Lannister's sons. And then, and so because Jamie ain't there. So that, like, all her decisions have all these strings connected to outcomes. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of things, there's so many things that are tied to her. I think out of any person in the book, at least anybody that has POVs, more outcomes of a person's decisions. It has to be Catelyn. Like, Cersei makes some crazy decisions too, but Catelyn, like, literally almost wiped her house out. By her decision.
All emotional decisions, in my opinion. That's why I said her deciding to leave Winterfell is really the catalyst for so much. Just, it wouldn't even be the same story had she not left.
But
what, Russell?
Hey, Russell.
Okay, that was Russell, y'all. He was asking me if he could come through here in his underwear.
Well, your camera isn't on.
Yeah, not on video, babe, but be quiet.
Right. Be quiet. Nobody can see me.
Oh, Lord.
That is Russell Wolverton, Lady Wolverton's husband. How you doing, Russell? Hope you're doing well.
He's good. He says, hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
He says he's watching the Pelicans. He just come through here to make him a rum and coke.
Oh, God, I need a drink.
I'm also watching the Santa Claus too. With Tim Allen, I'm bouncing back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth.
Any questions, please leave them in the chat if you have a question. We're talking about...
Get out of here.
That wasn't me, that was Jennifer farting.
Out of here. Stupid. Oh my
I
God.
think I love to spend the weekend at your
He's
house.
in his cups, y'all. He is in his cups. Oh my God.
Yeah, we're discussing Catelyn. She's very much an instrumental part of the story. Her decisions are long lasting, and she's very much a part of it. Very much a part of this. She's a player in the game, and she's just not playing well. But I have to give her credit for the love of her children. I do appreciate that. For the sake of my own mother. Carol
I'll
Lightfoot.
give her that too.
Yeah, she's a mother, and she's all about the love of her children, and she would do anything for them. But she just makes so many messes along the way. She's ruled by her emotions, just as Tony said. And this is a very critical, sensitive game that she's playing, and she just doesn't see, the ramifications of it. All she wants is her children back.
It's like, you
Uh,
ever think about how different, this story would go if, he never came to get Ned to go be hand. Like the Starks, the North period, belong above the neck. They are not built for all that Southern intrigue and
mhm.
and backdoor wheel, backroom politicking and all that, because everything is straightforward and to the point there. Like they're just and a lot. I can't even say like education. What I don't know. It's like a mixture of like education and street smarts almost, because like it's not needed up there really, because everything's just laid out on the table. It's a different kind of life, and what I mean. Him come down there with his honor and everything like that. It led him right to the grave. Like, and the one I always go back to is when he brings the his like last will and testament thing that he wrote out for Robert Baratheon, and goes and hands it to Cersei. Like she was really going,
Right.
what? Since you handed me
They
this,
ain't
we're
got no
gonna step
street at
back.
all. Yeah,
Right, like
you're
we're
right,
gonna step
Tony.
back now. This paper's, oh man, I guess we gotta go back to Castle Rock. The hell she was gonna go back to Castle Rock. She was
Right.
trying to get you to hit it, so you know what I mean. You would let it slide what she was doing. She was rubbing
They
on
don't
his
have any
leg, and
street
he
smarts
yeah.
whatsoever.
He was
and,
rubbing on
and,
the inside of his thigh, and he called it for what it was. She slapped shit out of him.
and
And it's like that right there. If you didn't know before that point, you should have realized then that this girl don't play by the same rules as you.
I was rereading, A World of Ice and Fire, and you
Mm-hmm.
made up a good point about how the Starks are straight to the point. Well, in that book, they even says that their last names in the North are straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Stark, Bolton,
Right.
and all of the other northern houses. I mean, they are just rooted and getting straight to the point. The wheeling and the dealing, the curves is just not there in the North. It's very straightforward in the North, and it's
Yeah,
all
there's no gray area in the North. It's one way or another.
yeah.
And there, you could almost say that Ned was immovable in both his dealings and his honor, which is a good and a bad thing. At least you
Mhm.
would know where you stand with him. On the same
Yeah.
token, like we said, does not make him a good politician, whatever. And I tell you what, though, I mean, you see all this shenanigans going on in politics today that makes you sick, and you wish for a senator or something like Ned Stark, because
Mhm.
at least he would stick to his word or
Yeah.
their word.
Yeah, but it's
I
the
mean,
same thing with today though. They would probably get pushed right out.
you're absolutely right. If you wouldn't get shot or whatever, you just wouldn't get reelected.
Run them out of Washington. You know what I mean?
Right. No, you're right. You're right. But yeah.
As far as the television show goes, it kind of takes me back to Cersei and the big meeting that they had in the last episode. She said that she would never trust Daenerys. I would never trust the daughter of the Mad King, but I would trust in Ned Stark's son
Mm-hmm.
because he would tell the truth. And as stupid as it was for John to say that he would betray Cersei, he was telling the truth. And
He was.
she knew. I mean, she played that perfectly.
Oh yes, she did.
She did, but yeah, and that's why I have a problem with people always saying Cersei is stupid. Cersei's made some stupid moves, but she's not stupid. She's not, in my opinion.
No.
She knew beforehand what she just about knows what somebody is going to answer before she makes a proposition. She doesn't fly blind.
No, she's not a foolish woman, but she does make some foolish decisions.
She
doesn't listen.
She probably went right back to that part when Ned came in the throne room, trying to hand her that paper, showing what Robert Baratheon wanted, and thinking she's looking at his son. You know what I mean? That he's going to do the same honor-driven decision. She knew she would do that to a T. She wasn't trying to give him a pat on the back for being, the honorable Ned Stark's son. She knew that he was going to put his whole cards out on the table for her to see. Just asking him because she knows he could not go against it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've seen that from her time and time again. She almost sneers at people who keep their word. I mean, we've seen it with her telling Jamie, like when she's even dealing with the Ironborn, she's like, well, that's what everybody does, is make alliances till they're not, friends anymore, and then they do what they want to do. I mean, she all but says, her word is never good if it's not in her best interest.
And another thing about Cersei, since we're talking about her, the reason that she stumbles so much is because her vision of, the view and the vision is skewed. The way she sees herself is skewed. The way she sees the world is skewed. And during her walk of shame, she finally, got to see who she is and how the people see her. It was such an eye-opening moment for her, but she kind of needed that moment. She needed to see, the people that she's surrounded by, and that she has no love, and that she's not as great and beautiful and amazing as she thinks she is. Tywin told her that in the show, but she never really wanted to believe it.
One time me and AU were talking, and he asked me, why did I think that Tywin told her they were almost broke? And I answered back to him because, that's all she had. She's not as pretty as she used to be. Yeah. She doesn't have all the things that she used to have at her disposal. And now she's not going to have the money that she used to have. We see that come to be a major deal. Money is a major thing. And we saw that this season when really things would have been over for them if they hadn't have got that Iron Bank money. But they did get it.
Oh, yeah, they got it.
And when I watched that episode, that's what I was mostly looking to see. Do they get that money or not?
Yeah, they got the money.
Yeah, they got, because he talks about how the money train got through the gates.
Yeah, he does specifically. So that train, that kept them in the game pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a shame. And as far, we might as well just go on into the show for a minute. I mean, Dany. What does she? I mean, she does not even bring up the subject of the Iron Bank. That's why I don't think she's even gonna make it. I don't think she is going to live through this season because she is just so concerned with ruling, but she has no idea what to do. She and Cersei are just alike, in my opinion. They're both crazy. They're both bad rulers, thinking that they're doing it the right way when they really don't. How could you not see that you need money to rule? How could, especially going into this long winter? And she never brought that subject up, not one time. It's ridiculous.
I guess Daenerys is counting on plunder, but what she's failing to see is that when they get closer to the north, the Riverlands, like we talked about earlier, they're already ravaged.
Oh yeah, it's nothing.
Like when they stopped at when Clegane and company stopped at that hut, and they didn't have a bean in sight. People didn't kill themselves because they were already starving. It's going to be some lean times coming up, I would predict.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is going to be some mean and lean times, no doubt about it. You said the exact right word. And as far as the show goes, The only source that they have now is the veil. And the veil, even though it is plentiful, they can't sustain itself and all of the North
Yeah,
and the Dothraki. And I mean, it's just not enough.
that's
I
why
just,
Littlefinger, he's you see the part in where in the books where he's
yeah.
hoarding all the grain.
Oh,
And he's
Yes.
yeah.
doing that
Yeah.
for that reason. Because when winter comes, he can set whatever price he wants.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, you can't plan in the wintertime. You can't
And we also
plan.
can go back to what Bronn told Tyrion. Have you ever been in a siege? Women will trade their diamonds, precious jewels, whatever, for a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, how is she gonna feed the Dothraki? How is she gonna feed everyone? I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, there are so many problems with the show, and I love the show. I love it. I want to see the characters come to life, but this is such a complex story, and I just don't think that it has done very well on screen. It's such a complex story. I'm not surprised it's gone so many pages, so many hundreds and thousands of pages. It's just such a complex story, so much to talk about, so many angles and so many viewpoints, and in the show it just doesn't give us that. I'm surprised they never brought up food. I'm surprised. How could you? I mean, how could she not think of that? How could she not think of that? And you want to be the ruler of the seven kingdoms, and you're not even thinking about food and money?
Mm.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's some bad writing. Bad writing, or either it's just Daenerys only seeing herself
See,
and
the
not
part
anything
the
else.
part I didn't like either is how she like I understand these Dothraki. I don't know how the book's gonna do it because we haven't gotten that far yet. But like you're telling, all right, these Dothraki think you're the strong woman because you're a dragon rider. It's the ultimate rider there is, but I just can't see a culture that for eons and eons have been raping and pillaging. That is their way of life. And you just gonna take them over to this, Westeros, and think because they think you're this great leader that they're just never gonna do that shit again.
Exactly. It's
That's gonna
ridiculous.
cause
Right.
a lot of
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah, I mean, Yara Greyjoy said that
Yeah,
when she was talking about the Ironborn. I mean,
that's
this is
another
how
one.
we
Yeah,
live. This is all we know how to do. You can't expect for us to change just because you say so.
yeah,
Change takes change takes years.
a lot of time.
Years. So many years. I mean, things have changed in our society, but it's not perfect, and it's
Mm-mm.
not certainly not going to be perfect in this book series. I think that she is just a terrible ruler. She doesn't get it, and in the books, in the Dance with Dragons, you really see the mess she makes. Oh, I mean, get Danny out of here.
Oh Lord.
I don't want to be bothered. Let's chill. This girl is just ridiculous. She's absolutely ridiculous. I mean,
Well, really, a good chapter and a nice window into what has been left there at Winterfell. But really, I didn't see any big, except for the foreshadowing you picked up on for Catelyn. Nothing really, really big, except for, like I said, the conjecture that it's which is right, which we know it to be right, that
yeah,
it
that's
is
true.
Jamie Lannister. However, just the way she handles everything, in my opinion, if I was her, had I had been her, I think I would have stayed home and just made sure that the North was secure.
Yeah, or send someone else the message, and not just leave her children. I mean, I understand. She was with them for so long, and I think she was trying to make up for the fact that she was with them so long. I think it was a matter of image as well, because she said a line. She said something like, "I'm going to show these Northerners that the Tullys of River Run have strength in them." So I think she was also leaving, to prove to everyone and herself that she had strength. She wasn't this weepy, whining woman. She was a woman of strength and courage and of love. but it's just she just made a mess, making messes, making messes everywhere she goes, and she can't really see the forest for the trees. Put it like that. Is there any questions? If there are any questions in the chat, if there's anyone left in the chat, please send them now. Um, I really don't. There was really nothing else that really stood out to me that I didn't bring up already. It was a
Right,
very
same
good
here.
chapter, and it was very short as well. You know,
It was a
these
short one.
yes, but it was very good, and there was plenty of information that I did appreciate. Oh, there was one more thing. Maester Lewin, she sees him as a gray rat.
Yes,
She
yes.
called him a gray rat. And she is not the only northern woman that sees these maesters as gray rats. Barbary Dustin, who was going to marry Brandon, also mistrusts the maesters and the people of the Citadel. And if I'm not mistaken, it was he who appointed all of these different people to the new positions. He was the one who made the list.
Yes,
He
he
was the one
was.
who made the list, so he was the one pretty much. I mean, if he wanted to, he could put, his men in those key positions. So I mean, there is a bit of truth to the people of the Citadel. They do have their way of having control. They mask it.
With helpfulness. Misha, you've hit your mute button. Did you mean to do that?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Hey, okay, there you are.
Okay, I'm sorry, I dropped my webcam. Yeah, they mask
Okay.
it in helpfulness, but they do have a way of taking control. Yeah, they're right. There we go. Sorry, guys.
And some maesters have more control than others. I would
Yeah.
definitely say that the Bolton maester probably didn't have as much control as Maester Lewin.
Oh yeah, Maester Lewin has a lot of authority around there. He's seen a lot, and he's very much trusted. And in one of the chapters, she was completely naked in front of him,
Yes,
and she did
yes.
not
No, when he
flinch from
brings the
his
message
gaze.
in from Lysa,
Yeah.
it says she sat up in bed and let the cover drop from her breast. And then she goes on to say that he's pulled 5 children from her. So what difference does it make?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, have mercy. Don't even talk to me about childbirth. But yes, I mean, Maester Lewin, he is very much appreciated and very much trusted, and he could easily be a threat. He could easily be a threat. So, are there parts, any more parts that the two of you saw, or
No,
something that stood out? No,
we
not you,
covered
Tony.
everything.
Okay. Next week. I hate to end it early because I'm actually feeling pretty good. I can go all night
Yeah, I
if I
feel good too.
want. But next week, let me say, next week is Sansa's first chapter. You're gonna be doing it, Jennifer?
I would really like to do it because when we said who our favorite characters were, for me it's my favorite characters are Sansa and Sam. So I'd
Okay.
really like to do it. I know we get a lot of Sansa hate. That's fine. That's fine. But I would really like to do it, and especially this early chapter. It's going to be before Sansa. I like Sansa because I feel like she learns, and we see progress with her, whereas some people stay unchained. Like we see uh, unchanged. Catelyn is a good example of somebody we see start off making emotional decisions, dies definitely make an emotional decision, and we just don't see her grow and progress at all, really.
Yeah, and I do believe that Sansa, learns. She
She
learns
does.
after the first book. I do have to give credit to her in the Clash of Kings. I mean, you can really tell that she's mature. She's trying to play the game. She's trying to learn. She's trying to get it. She's making mistakes, but she is making an effort to truly learn, the ways of the South. She's trying to survive. She's much more thoughtful, in that book than she is in that first book. You can by next
She
week
is,
you'll
she
see.
is. And we see her
Mhm.
apply things she had kind of been told her whole life that go in one ear and out the other.
Oh
Like
yeah,
Septim Bourdain always telling her, a lady always has their courtesy. A lady always has their courtesy. I think, it's something that is said to her, but she doesn't quite grasp it
hmm
until she learns.
yeah,
We see her apply that with Joffrey in many
yeah,
circumstances. The only thing that saves her from being ridiculed or abused is the fact that she has the good grace and sense to agree or not say anything at all
yeah.
or just stay silent. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, one thing they said about Sansa in the show is true. She was very much soaking up the information around her. All of that
Yes.
silence, it kept her quiet, but she was also, analyzing the
Observant.
situation.
Observant.
Yeah, and
She's learned a lot from Cersei,
oh
which we
yeah,
saw her in the show even admit so. She's
yeah,
learned a lot from Cersei. I think she even learned some from Marjorie.
oh yeah. She
Definitely in
learned
the
from
show, maybe
everybody.
not so much in the book because they almost have Marjorie being a little bit more immature than Sansa in the book.
Oh yeah, that's
Or
true.
is that an act?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know because Marjorie is even younger than Sansa in the book.
no. Sansa is 12. Marjorie's 16, I believe.
I thought she was 13 in the books. And
No,
then,
no.
she's already
Marjorie
been
is
in King's
older.
Landing a while.
Yeah, wait a minute. Marjorie, I believe, is like 16. She's older than Joffrey. And Sansa and Joffrey are, or maybe like a year apart. She's younger than Joffrey, but Marjorie
I
is
think in the
older.
book,
Marjorie's the
Marjorie's
oldest.
a great deal younger, definitely than in the show.
Yeah, we might have to look that up because,
Yeah, she's
yeah,
comes off to me as very giggly and immature.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I like her better in the show, to be honest.
Yeah,
Plus
definitely.
the
Most
actress,
definitely.
yeah,
I
and the
like her
actress.
coming in as a player who can kind of even manipulate Joffrey.
Oh
And we
yeah,
see that with the crossbow scene,
and
particularly.
And let me say this about Marjorie. I think the reason that she was able to manipulate him is because she was not afraid of him. And I said this before. A lot of these fearsome people don't want to be feared.
I agree.
A lot, she does not fear him at all. You can hear it in the books, you can hear it in the show. She was never afraid of him. She had, him around her little finger.
Yes,
and
she
and
does.
and she I think she did it because she just wasn't afraid of him. It's really kind of interesting, how much fear can take away from you. I mean,
Yeah.
not to be afraid is a good thing. I have to say that.
She is a lot different in the books, though. A lot different.
Oh yeah, they don't really go into Marjorie in the
No, not much.
which is a shame because I really would have liked to have heard it from her side. I would have
I
liked to have
agree.
heard
I
it from
can't wait for
Marjorie.
the book. Yeah, but I've been saying that for 3 or 4 years now. I mean, I love the show, but I'm
Hmm
really, really, really ready for a book. I want to
Yeah.
see,
Oh yeah.
especially the characters that were killed off in the show that Mr. Martin has says are that's not necessarily
Yeah,
their
like
final,
Ariane. Yeah, the
yeah,
people
their
like
final
Ariane.
way in the show. I'd like to see just how that. I mean, in the book,
Yeah, I
I'd
would
like to
love
see
to.
just how that plays out.
Yeah, me too. I would love to see Ariane. I
Who
would
are
have
all the
loved to have seen her.
characters? Let's go through. Who are the characters that are still alive in the books that are dead on the show?
Okay. Littlefinger, my sweetheart.
Isn't
Uh,
Stannis still alive in the books?
Stannis. Yes, Stannis is alive.
Shireen, then.
Shireen is alive. Yeah, Serena's still alive, but I don't think she'll be for long.
Tristane will still be alive. Marcella's still alive.
Marcella, yeah.
Tony, do you have yourself muted, sweetie?
No,
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I'm just
My
listen.
bad.
I'm just a good listener.
hmm
Yeah, you are.
Still alive.
Yeah, you are.
Who else?
But yeah, I'm really excited to see where he takes us, since that's going to veer off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what they're gonna do, and I don't know what George is gonna be doing in the books. I just don't want to see him follow the show.
I don't either.
I don't want him following the show. I want for him to be the true template. His
Because I believe they butchered quite a few characters.
Oh yeah, they didn't even bring in characters, good characters that I would have loved to have seen.
I hate the way Stannis died. I like Stannis's character, especially in the books, and I hate the way they killed him on the show. I just, it just didn't seem final or anything to me. I just hate it.
They didn't even give him his death. They cut away. I need to see the death.
Right, thank you. Especially in Game of Thrones. I need to see you are dead and not been resurrected.
Yeah, exactly. It's too many people coming back from the dead.
Right. So we need to see a death, people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We need to see the death. There's too many people being resurrected and whatnot. Yeah. Has anybody seen the new Star Wars movie? Tony, Misha?
No, I'm really not into Star Wars, to be honest with you.
I am. I just haven't seen it yet.
No,
we might go tomorrow. We usually go on the premiere night, but money's tight and times are hard.
Yeah. Jane Westerling, she says. Yeah, Jane. But I don't really know.
No, you're right. You're right. Last we see of them, they're headed to Casterly Rock, I believe. Is that not right?
And from what I've heard, he has made the prologue of A Winds of Winter.
Yes.
For Jane.
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
Oh yeah, I'm very interested in seeing that.
It's sure something got to happen with that. The procession that's going to Casterly Rock with her Edmure. I like to see like the Blackfish rescue.
I liked the Blackfish. I like his character. I liked him in the show as well. I hated the way they killed him off.
Yeah,
didn't care for it.
And
it was silly. I'm just going to go fight hundreds of soldiers, even though I'm going to die. That was pointless to me, and not again an emotional decision. I didn't care for it.
Yeah, and first of all, when they first met on that bridge in the show, the first thing he asked about was Sansa and Arya, and then now he's presented with the opportunity of going to meet his great niece. And being with what's left of his family, he just decides to go and kill himself.
And he stopped everything to back Catelyn, and he's going to compare the two when he reads the letter. Oh, she sounds just like her mother, but then not honor her request. That just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Oh yeah. But let me say this, and this goes back to my analysis that I'm still doing. I'm still writing it up. And I think that they have foregone having the Blackfish go to Winterfell to see Sansa because they're going to have that happen in the book. I think they're going to have something like that happen in the book.
I hope so. I think in the books, he's going to be one of the people who attacks the train going to Casterly Rock.
Yeah, something like that. I think we're going to see some kind of Stark reunion with the Blackfish. Something like that. Or either he's going to wind up with Lady Stoneheart. I mean, he left, he escaped from the Riverlands after Jaime took over. And I think he's going to either end up going to be with Lady Stoneheart or maybe to the Vale or something like that. Miss Vengeance has just joined our chat. Hey, Miss, what's up? You come in kind of late, Miss Vengeance, and I'm sorry for that, honey.
Oh, hey, Ree. Hey, girl, how you doing?
Yeah. But yeah, I just think he's gonna pop up later on, either with Stoneheart or maybe attacking that baggage train, or maybe showing up at the Vale.
Yeah, I just think it was pointless in the show for him to go down fighting just to die. But multiple foot soldiers probably had to gang up on him. That was silly to me. I didn't care for it when he could have lived to fight on. And perhaps, I get that he was disappointed in Edmure, but come on, he grew up right there with Edmure forever. He knew what kind of person, and they had already had him getting on Edmure for not listening to Rob. I mean, he knew what kind of person Edmure was to begin with. Did he really expect him, you know what I mean, to be tortured and be killed and let his children, I just thought that was quite silly because, he knew what kind of person and what kind of Lord Edmure would make probably even before all this happened.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else? Any other topic, about Catelyn, the Catelyn chapter?
No, not that I can think of. Just her bad decisions.
Yeah, just poster child for bad decision making.
Okay. Yeah. There's a comment. Edmure makes me want to slap him.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. A backhanded slap.
Oh, yeah.
I grabbed her by the back of her head and hit her.
Yeah. Well, since there is nothing else to talk about, I guess we're going to go ahead and end it. Right?
Y'all, Sansa next week has our first Sansa, which will be interesting for us.
Oh, yeah.
These are the rough Sansa chapters, too, boy. Oh, my God.
Yeah, y'all bring it on, though. That's what we're here for. We never have to agree about everything. I'm not an expert on anything. Well, a few things, but they don't have nothing to do with Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. So I'm an expert on calibrating a Coca-Cola machine. I can tell y'all that I can taste whether there's too much syrup or too much CO2 in a Coca-Cola machine like nobody's business. I can even tell you what state that Coca-Cola came from because Southern Coca-Cola tastes better than Northern Coca-Cola. Sorry to tell you that, Tony. But yeah, not an expert on Game of Thrones, an expert in Coca-Cola.
I thought it came from Pensacola.
Well, they produce it in Shreveport. They produce it in New Orleans. They probably produce it somewhere right there in Texas because y'all state is so big. But yeah. I find the New Orleans Coca-Cola to be very delicious, but each of them tastes just a little bit different. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
You know what I like? I go to the Spanish stores have the Coke in the glass bottle. They make it with real sugar, not the corn syrup.
Oh, yes, indeed. I love a squirt from the bodega. Y'all know that drink, squirt? I love a squirt from the bodega. We have a bodega right up the street within walking distance to me. I go up there all the time to get me a bottled squirt.
If that is all, for Catelyn, I think we're gonna go ahead and end it tonight. You want to do your outro?
All right, y'all. I'm Jennifer, Lady Wolverton. Everybody just calls me Jen. My Twitter's down right now. I can't remember which email I use, but I'm on Facebook. As long as you don't look like a weirdo, I accept all requests. Come on in like a friend.
Weirdos are okay every now and
then. Tony, you want to do your outro?
Yeah, Tony, find me on YouTube, Tony Umber. Usually do gaming videos. If I'm live streaming, it's probably gonna be on somebody else's channel. Just too busy to be doing anything else. So you'll catch me on next week with them, or somewhere. You'll see me. But thanks for having me again. It's been a pleasure. And we will talk about the teenage mind of Sansa next week.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, gonna be good. Thank you for having me, Misha. It's always a pleasure. I really look forward to our little book club.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I am Misha Houston. Check me out on YouTube. Check me out on Facebook, and check me out on Instagram. Also, if you're a fan of gaming, I have become a casual gamer. And Tony, seeing as I had wanted to ask you, the game that you be playing on your channel, is it available on PlayStation 4?
It's the only computer.
Oh, that sucks.
Only
What
PC.
game is this? What game is this?
It's the Game of Thrones game. that he
Crusader
played.
Kings 2. Game of Thrones. It's got a mod. Like they have the original like vanilla game is Crusader Kings, but it has like it has a Lord of the Rings mod, Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
all kind of different mods for it, but mostly the Game of Thrones one. There's a lot of channels that do that Game of Thrones mod game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Okay.
like channels way bigger than mine that do them, like, and they're really good.
Oh, well, okay. I was hoping that it was available for PlayStation 4, but
They're
apparently
supposed
Oh,
to.
that's
They're
too bad.
supposed to be making it available for console games like PlayStation 4 and Xbox, but I don't know exactly when.
well, I'll keep a lookout for
Yeah.
it anyways.
I got my brother an Xbox One a few years ago for Christmas, and I had my aunt to buy him the headsets and everything. He finally got the whole system hooked up, and now you can't get him off the damn video game.
Yeah, those video games are addictive. Yeah, I
Yeah, they are.
understand.
Yeah, they are.
Absolutely. But I'm not gonna let it control my life. No way.
Don't let it control you, Misha.
No. Well, everyone, thank you all for joining us. Ms. Vengeance, Shayna Sapphire, Zion, AU, Red Witch, Cammy, all of us. Thank you all so much for joining us
Yes.
tonight, and we will be back next week, and hopefully on the Thursday. Hopefully everything will be cool next Thursday. This is Misha Houston. Check out my channel. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will be back next week for the next chapter, Sansa 1, A Game of Thrones.
Okay, everybody have a great week. Thank you so much for popping in. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you all so much, and good night, everyone.
Good night.